The Halo universe is filled with wonder, mystery, and fascinating discoveries around every corner. With so much to explore, four friends decided it was about time that they boot up their consoles and discuss this universe that has grabbed their attention since childhood. JumperScape Audio kindly welcomes you to join them in the library.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the library for its 25th episode special. We survived this long. I can't believe it myself. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today obviously is a very special occasion because we have hit probably I would call it the real first milestone. 10 episodes is more like the bottom line to me. So like 25, that's it's a good number right there. We've made it this long. We're probably going to keep it going for much longer. So let's hope on that one. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are new to this show, then you can feel free to head over to discord.gg/JumperScape. That's where you can talk to us. That's where you can talk to the people that like this show, just like you do, probably. You can talk to everybody except the people that aren't there. So you can just feel free to talk to people that are there currently, and it'll just be fine. Or you can support the show directly because we've made it this long just because of our supporters. At patreon.com/JumperScape. There's a lot of different options for you there, including some that are basically just, hey, if you want to listen to the Terminals after show, then there's a really, really nice tier for you right there. That's like $2. That's fantastic. It keeps us supported and it gives you a little bit of extra content. It's beautiful. But all that aside, speaking of Patreon, we have a very special guest joining us actually today because our top patron supporter, sir, you have been supporting us for a very long time, and I mean by that I mean like we're coming up on 2 months, and that I say that's a very long time because that's longer than I think that I thought anybody would want to support at all. Actually, you must understand, whenever patrons are started for me, it's not something that I ever expect to actually be successful. This show was not something that I expected to be successful. I'm fairly certain me, Shane, and James just kind of woke up one day and thought this would be kind of entertaining, or at least mostly me, I guess, because I think I just kind of was like, guys, what if we did a Halo podcast? And then they probably felt obligated to be dragged into it because that's just the way it was.
It happens.
But you, my friend, you have, I'm putting a spotlight on you for a second here because not only, ladies and gentlemen, has this person joined up on our Patreon and supported us in a huge way, but he's also been active in our Discord. He's been giving these daily goals for all the people in the general chat to follow. He's a very, very friendly guy, and that's why I'm saying you should really join up on the Discord server, because if you want to talk to people that are as chill as this dude, it's all there for you. It's all right here in the palm of your hand, probably, if you're using your phone. But
nice price of $15.99. Venmo link for me in the description. You can join the Discord.
If we monetized everything, I don't know if we, you know what, maybe there's someone out there that's just like, that's a pretty good deal. I bet you would. But I was wanted to get him in here just because first of all, I'm certain that he'll have some very fun things to add on to our conversation today, but also just because really chill guy. And I don't think, aside from I did you show up to the book club one time and I've just automatically forgotten because there's so much that I got to take care of these days.
I tried popping in, but I actually had to go on the road. I was off to class.
That's what it was. Mm-hmm. Yes. All right. So yeah, this is probably our first time like actually having an extended conversation. Yeah. So we had to break the ice that way. But that's not even all. That's not. I have so many surprises just like up my sleeve. There were going to be more. I can explain that in a second. But we have joining us from last week the guy from this Chokepoint Games team, working on Sins of the Prophets, one of the greatest Halo mods I've ever seen in my entire life. Mr. Idio has joined us once again. How are you today?
I'm back.
He's back.
I'm going to say, no.
Oh, no.
I'm going to be here every week. I don't know.
You know, that's good. That's good. I've considered, there's this really fun idea that someone tossed is like, what if you got one of your guests to stay every week? I'm like, I would love to toss that idea out there, but I think that'd be a interesting dedication that would have to be thrown at a show that they had no interest in at first, nor knowledge of. So it would just be interesting. But yeah, I wanted to bring Mr. Homeboy back just because, our conversation last week was fantastic. The topics that we were talking about were just entertaining. And it seems like everybody from Sins of the Prophets has the right kind of comedy that we need in a show like this. So we definitely had to bring him back. So aside from all of that, though, aside from all of these things that are currently, all these people that are currently here joining us, we got 5 people on this show today. It's fantastic. A fun fact about today's episode: we originally were going to make it like I think Shane called it an Avengers Assemble sort of thing. Bringing in every single guest that we had ever.
It was a good idea, just 2 last minutes to make it happen, or we'd have to push this episode back, or recording the episode out a little bit further than we wanted to. So
yeah, couldn't do that. And I did do my best. I reached out to every single guest that we had, except James Burns, but that's because dude's busy. Right now I think he's moving from I think right now he's living out in Hawaii, and he's trying to move to LA. I can't remember what it was. He's moving. Point is, he's coming back to the mainland, I guess. So I'm not trying to bother him too much. I also tried reaching out to a couple other guys. Good news, though, for the future, for those of you who are sticking around long term and you're like, oh, I wonder who these guys are going to have on next. Well, first of all, calm down, slow your roll, because we're not going to have guests for a little while. And that's simply because I'm burnt out from trying to talk to everyone that exists. I've got a lot of people that I've been trying to contact, and I think there are some agents that are starting to blacklist me. So I need to be a little bit more careful for a little bit. So I'm trying to, we're probably going to just keep it to the 3 of us for a little bit. But the good news for the future is I reached out to Sacred Icon podcast, because those guys are awesome and, big fans, real cool guys over there. And they're interested in the show. Not only do they like the show, they also are interested in being on the show. So I'm kind of trying to pop that up. Also, Podtacular, Dust Storm, he wants to be on the show. So basically right now I'm trying to unify all of the podcasts into just one single body, into one big Halo podcast.
Unify all of the podcasts.
Exactly. What better way to bring the Halo community together than forcefully?
Very nice.
But all that aside, that's just getting you guys up to speed. That's just getting things updated. And, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, but that's not what you're here for. We know you saw the title. We know you saw the conversation we're going to be having. We all know that you're excited because we're going to be talking about the one, the only, the green armor wearing, the galaxy saving probably twice by this point, Mr. Man himself, the dude who has done the majority, the most that you could possibly do before the age of 16, Mr. Master Chief, Petty Officer, Spartan 117, John Spartan Man.
From the hit game Rainbow Six Siege.
Oh, God.
Oh, man. And Fortnite.
I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
When Chief
yeah,
dropped
he's
on
there.
Fortnite, I'm not going to lie. When he dropped on Fortnite, I started dropping dubs everywhere. I sucked at Fortnite, but as soon as he dropped...
I didn't touch Fortnite for literally months, and me and James went in there that day and bought the Chief skin and started playing.
Oh my god.
Like, same day.
And we cleaned house
We
until
sure
we got
did.
into lobbies that didn't have bots in them. Then we
No.
got cleaned.
No, we started playing with my younger brother, and he literally eats, breathes, and shits Fortnite. So we got into his lobbies. It was not good for the Master Chief brothers.
Nor morale for me is in real life. I was like, I've lost a step, man. I can't keep up with the kids.
Today I was looking around on socials because I got to do that, and I was looking around and people were complaining about Master Chief being in Rainbow Six, because they're like, why isn't there more crossovers in Halo Infinite? Why isn't there more content being brought to Halo Infinite? My answer was, now listen, I enjoy having Halo in every single game I ever play. By this point, if you were told that you're not allowed to play any video game unless it has some reference to either Halo or the Master Chief directly, your game library would be surprisingly large. Because there's a lot of games that have some reference to it now.
Did you know that they had a whole season collab with that weird Crisis looking armor? It wasn't a direct collab, but it had to be to look that much like Crisis.
It did look a lot like Crisis. That was my first response. My first response was Go Power Rangers. But my second one was it does look a lot like Crisis, which, I'm all right with. Crisis is pretty all right. I love that franchise.
Go Power Rangers was the entirety of Halo 5.
That's true. There was a lot of Power Ranger vibes on at least the vibrancy of the colors. It was intense. But aside from all of that, aside from the many places that Master Chief has appeared, which I would argue that his best appearance was in Brawlhalla, he's cracked in that game to a ridiculous degree. Which I still have yet to play it with these guys in here. I don't even think you guys have it installed, do you?
No.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's why I thought.
You know why I refuse? Because you told me to do it.
So, but I told you guys to install Party Animals and you did it without a second thought.
Back to John 11.7.
11.7, Mr. 11.7 Spartan John Halo himself.
Yeah.
Okay.
John Halo 11.7, who doesn't afraid of anything.
How old is that meme? Because you've referenced it the most, but I only saw it.
It's very old.
I only saw it recently. Because that was like a 4chan post.
I'm pretty sure it was a 4chan post. I don't know if those are dated. Let me see. No, I'm just typing in Halo doesn't afraid of anything.
Oh, well, obvious.
That would do it.
Halo's a pretty cool guy.
He is.
Kills alien.
Yeah, this post was from 2007.
Oh my gosh! Good lord!
The only appropriate response is Ola.
Oh, that's a classic. You're talking about the one with the sombrero and he's holding the Mexican guitar or Spanish guitar, whichever one.
That's literally the first reply on it.
That's
and then
perfect.
There's Halo's not a good guy, you tool face. That's Master Chief. Get it right. This guy's so angry about this obvious goof.
Sounds like everyone on the internet.
I think Halo's a pretty cool guy. It kills aliens and doesn't afraid of anything.
Okay, hold on. We're gonna go slightly off topic, Austin. I promise this is a funny story, and you'll get entertainment out of it. So there's a guy on social media who basically does Austin. You probably haven't seen it because you don't use TikTok. James, I've sent you a few videos of him. He basically does the voiceovers for different countries and military equipment that are just basically talking shit to each other. And he basically put out a list of his top 10 favorite video games of all time, or it was top 10 shooters. There was not a single Halo on his list. I'm like, okay, well, to each their own. And while I respect, whatever, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. And I mean, this still applies to what I'm about to say. He had Titanfall 2 as his number one shooter of all time, which again, I love Titanfall 2.
Not a bad choice.
Not a bad choice, but it is the first time I've ever seen someone put Titanfall 2 as their number one shooter of all time. Looking past all the classic Halos, all the classic Battlefields, all the classic Call of Duties, Titanfall 2. I commented, I'm like, never seen anyone put Titanfall 2 as their number one shooter, but I respect it, but I've never seen it. I got absolutely fucking crucified for somewhat questioning this fucking list. The comment section, the owner of the post liked my comment himself, but oh my god, I was just no, never seen that before. Interesting, don't really agree with it, but Titanfall is a solid game. Very I respect it. I got absolutely fucking crucified for never seen that before. So that kind of
it's attributed to two things. One, it's the internet, so
no, exactly. That's why
people have is crucify you.
No, exactly.
But two, when you think about Titanfall 2, there's literally not a thing wrong with it.
No,
it does everything.
It is a great. It is a overall very solid game.
I know I said two things, but three things. people who fucking love Titanfall 2 love Titanfall 2.
No, right.
Oh yeah.
It's their firstborn child.
Right. To an extent, I think they love it a little too much because I mean, it's a great. Don't get me wrong. Again, great game. But the fact that Titanfall 2 is his #1 shooter of all time, and there's not even a sniff of any Halo game on this list, is literally egregious to me. I mean, like, to each their own. He's entitled. I was not mad about it. Hence why I commented, like, hey, like, very solid list. I've never seen anyone put Titanfall 2 as their #1 shooter of all time. I respect it. That was literally the comment. I'm reading it off my fucking phone as we speak. And I got absolutely cooked in the comments. It was I'm like, bro. And then people started talking shit on Halo. I'm like, okay, well now I have to intervene because I will not allow this.
He's got to defend it. The honor.
Right. Right. Yeah. 100%.
I would simply intervene.
I did. And the owner, like I said, the person who made the post.
People better start respecting Halo, or I might do something about it.
I might have to step in. But no, like that kind of just goes along with what you were saying.
Someone should stop this Herobrine character. I might have to do something.
Oh my god. I was literally just giving my opinion, and I got absolutely torched in the comment section. But then there's what really pisses me off is I get like 40 plus likes on my comment. Not one of those motherfuckers came to defend me. They all liked they all liked my comment. I'm sitting here getting absolutely cooked online, and no one is defending me. I'm like, dude, where are these 40 plus people that are liking my comment? Like, why can't they help me out here?
This is the reason I've stopped commenting on anything ever.
Well, it got to a point.
I just a risk of it blowing up for no reason and then getting just cooked.
I agree. It got to a point where I just stopped replying. Like, I gave a few counterpoints. I'm like, well, yes, Titanfall doesn't do anything wrong per se. There are still better FPSs out there. Like, at least in my opinion, and I think majority of the internet would agree. But I just found that one niche audience that is just like about to send me death threats.
See, I never want to start anything on the internet because I'm scared of that one day I'll get a reply that just starts with "this you."
I didn't even start anything. I just gave an opinion. Oh my god. I didn't even start anything. I legit just gave an opinion. And then when I got literally fucking jumped in the comment section, I started stating like why there's so many better games out there. And the one thing I'm like, okay, I'm clearly arguing with a 12-year-old. The movement in Titanfall 2, I'm like, okay, so we're arguing with a 12-year-old. Okay, that checks. The minute he brought up movement, I'm like, okay, so you're literally in 7th grade. Cool, noted. I'm like, movement doesn't mean good game. Like, while it is a good game, movement doesn't mean good game. That does not make it a good game.
Well, if we're talking about what makes Halo, and if we're combining with Titanfall, which, by the way, I will say, if they ever one day we're like, yeah, we're adding a Master Chief skin to Titanfall 2 and a Mantis skin for your Titan.
Nuts.
You best believe I'm draining my bank account.
It costs $5,000. Austin says, sign me up.
We're going to have to wait till Titanfall 3 comes out. Rest in peace, Titanfall 1 and 2.
If it actually happens.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy. I'm excited to see that Titanfall is actually getting, like, their servers got fixed and it got populated. I was playing it just the other day. I was having a blast, especially with that new mode that they dropped. That thing is awesome.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I'm sure that you guys have seen this recently. At least Shane, I'm sure that you have. Have you guys seen that mod for Apex Legends that just turns it into Halo?
I cannot say that I have. This is news to me.
Hold on, John. Yeah, hold on.
This does sound like something you'd send in our chat that I would never ever.
I never sent it.
Usually, what happens.
Send it to me. Can you send it to me?
Okay,
right
hold
now?
on. I'm gonna put it just in general chat here in the JumperScape Discord server available at discord.gg/JumperScape. Just look at this. I want you guys to just press play on this.
Wrong button.
Wrong button. My bad. No, you're good.
We're okay.
All right.
Yeah, just look at this for like 5 seconds.
That is so.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
They added the pin. What in the world?
I'll be damned.
How the hell did they do this?
I've got no clue, man. I was hoping you could explain it to me.
This is insane. Oh my goodness.
Nah, the fucking AR.
I mean, Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, Apex Legend it's a Source engine, right?
I think it actually was made on Source, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
Titanfall
because
was on Source. So
Titanfall was
I
the
mean,
Source. Apex is also, and so it's the same engine.
I thought it was
Apex was a little bit more.
Frostbite. Am I stupid?
Yes,
No, yeah,
Apex is not
no.
Frostbite.
I'm pretty sure.
It was
all the
EA.
Titanfalls
I just
were,
assumed EA, Frostbite.
That's more like a dice thing.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. But yeah,
There's no way it's in Source. Source doesn't look that good.
Apex is recent. Apex is a more up-to-date Titanfall.
Well,
Apex was in 2018.
When I think of Source, I think of CS:GO.
mod, right?
Yeah, Gary's mod. Like,
well, the thing is that like, first of all, Source has gotten up to Source 2, and Source 2 is a very, very, very good-looking engine. Especially since like Half-Life Alyx runs on Source 2, and that is such a good-looking game. What are you looking up?
The engine for Apex Legends, it says Unreal Engine 4.
Oh, right, that was Unreal Engine. Okay, so then okay.
No, I thought that was the mobile port that they had.
Let me look. Hold on. Let me keep reading. I haven't completely got all the way through.
I thought
that
Valve
could
exclusively used
no.
Source, and like it was Valve's engine.
Source is ironically a little bit open source.
Yeah, no, a whole bunch of
it's Source. Okay, yeah. The mobile was Unreal. Yeah, it is the Source engine. Okay, I was gonna say I'm not crazy here. I was like Unreal. Yeah, no, it's Source. It's Source.
That's insane,
my
man.
perspective on Source engine has completely changed because I completely
I was gonna say
thought of Goofy Gmod.
Yeah, I was gonna say Frostbite is like almost exclusively Battlefield at this point. I mean Battlefront, but yeah, it's more of a dice thing.
Well, a point being about showing off this mod is that there was a conversation started about it. And Ash, as a Halo fan, I definitely want to get your input on this one. So with this gameplay loop that's been presented, a lot of people online were saying that Halo Infinite should have played like this, and that if Halo was more like this, then it would be more fun, because Halo gameplay is boring. And respectfully, die.
I mean, if you want that type of experience, if you want the movement, it's in Halo 5. Port that to PC. And then I think that crowd would be fairly pleased. I mean, the end state of competitive in Halo 5 was this crazy movement sandbox. And it was sort of there at the beginning of Halo Infinite. It was sort of there. I think they patched a bunch of it out, and then they sort of unpatched some of that. So, Halo's always been a bit of a movement shooter, but not in the same sort of category as Titanfall. Like, this is cool looking. Watching this video is wow, seeing effectively Titanfall gameplay skinned as Halo. That's cool as but would I want to see a mainstream Halo game look like this? No. I'm a firm believer. Look, I am a Halo 2 supremacist. I think after Halo 2, it was all downhill. Whoa. That's the hot take for the evening.
That is a hot take because I'm a Halo 3 supremacist.
Do you guys want a really hot take?
Oh yeah, hit it.
As groundbreaking and beautiful as Halo is as a franchise, I get very bored playing classic Halo multiplayer these days.
Dang.
I mean,
fair enough.
I'm gonna have to inform everyone. James will be taking a leave from the show following this episode.
No, it's fair enough. The way that I've always viewed it, the Master Chief Saga had a very particular sort of the original sort of trilogy in the Reach. I guess not really the Master Chief Saga, but what we have on MCC, we'll say. I think that all of those games, even with the changes between Reach, Halo 4, Sprint, all of these additional sort of changes to the formula, I think it's like, the core formula of Halo is a solid foundation. And if it needs to be updated nowadays for a modern audience, we got to admit at the end of the day, the classic fans, we're a dying breed.
Yeah, I was gonna say it does need to have like somewhat of a modern touch, but I mean that hasn't even helped the franchise at all at this point. But I don't think
the way Infinite plays is as close as you can get to a modern version of Halo
I
gameplay.
I honestly love the way
Yeah.
Infinite plays. My main gripes about Infinite is just like how it was handled at launch and the lack of content. Other than that, Halo Infinite's one of my, like, as far as like the gameplay, is one of my favorite Halos. It just feels like a
Yeah.
great modern rendition of what I used to play when I was a kid. So
Yeah,
I have no gripes
the thing
about it.
I've accepted about me and Halo is I am a story guy. Not so much like a play the campaigns all the time. I just love Halo's story and universe. But like, it's not my favorite gameplay experience in my life. You know what I mean?
Hey there, Halo fans. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with our friends right after these messages.
I think you'll find, honestly, if you were to poll a huge portion of the Halo community, I feel like pretty much the majority of the community is on the same page with Infinite, where it's like, here's a game that's modernized the sandbox, it's added a bunch of new additional features, nothing that's like particularly too obtrusive to the core gameplay, and it's solid. It's like, I don't think anybody can really argue. There's a solid base. There's some changes that need to be made. I'm hoping, the concept of a live service leads to it having those improvements. But, we got to wait and see. Unfortunately, 343 is not quite the most transparent company. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's going to be a
So
while.
Master Chief, right?
Yeah, man.
Well, first, I wanted to.
Master Chief.
First, I wanted to get Ash. I wanted to know what for you. What is your ideal Halo experience? What would you probably tie back to, like, the Halo experience? If you have a game that you can think of in the franchise that's like your quintessential Halo experience.
Well, my first time playing
I
Halo
like this
was
question.
years ago. I never held an Xbox controller in my life. I was a GameCube kid my entire life. At the age of like, don't want to say, I don't know, like 10, I was at a New Year's Eve party with my family and friends, neighbor's house, and the kids upstairs, 15, 16. I was bored, went upstairs. They were playing Halo split screen. I believe it was Halo 2. They were just 1v1ing. And I said, could I try? They wanted a 2v1 instead. And so I said, okay, sure. I'm bored anyways. So I'll play. So I'm looking at the different classes and I see the energy sword. Now, as a Star Wars fan, I was like, oh, that's neat. I like that one. They're like, that one sucked. You gotta get so close. You'll never hit us. I went 9-0 with the sword.
I mean, hold on. They were saying the Halo 2 energy sword has a low range.
Man.
They were saying, yeah, they were just like, it's garbage. Use the rocket launcher.
The lines,
are they?
homie. The lines.
Yeah, whatever they were smoking,
I
want
was
some.
swinging, bro. I was just swinging.
Now, you want to hear a hot take? That's the hot take.
That is a hot. That is a cold take. That is a coldest
That
take
is
I've
a
ever heard.
horrible.
That is a
Like,
cold, ice cold take.
And frozen sock is how I would describe take. You know,
I mean, that's just.
Yeah, leave a sock out in the cold and it freezes because all the sweat and shit.
Oh.
I would say though that is actually a really good, like, it's a solid origin story for Halo. I freaking love getting people's origin stories with Halo, but I gotta say it does seem to be a pattern. If the energy sword is fun to use, then your Halo is probably fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Basically,
because like Halo 2, super fun to play. The campaign is super entertaining, and the multiplayer, it's a little bit jank, but it's still fun to play. Halo 5's energy sword, busted, but super fun to use. And Halo 5's multiplayer is pretty damn fun to play. Like it's so much. It can go back and forth between being slow but methodical and really fast paced and precise. I would argue Halo 4's energy sword is really fun to use just because of how smooth it feels, and also I really like the sound effect that it has. Halo Reach's energy sword, not only fun to use, but it looks gorgeous.
In my opinion, the best looking energy sword.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Because I just, if we're gonna talk about the energy sword, I want to do one more rabbit hole here because it's just, I've always wanted to just kind of sit down and talk about it. Now, I need to form a list, guys, and I need your help to figure this one out. What exactly is wrong with the Halo Infinite energy sword? Because something doesn't feel right.
One, I don't like. Okay, from a shape perspective, I love the shape. Two, what am I talking about? It looks wrong.
Does it
And I'll
glow?
get into
It
mechanics.
does, yeah.
Barely.
It's got really nice screen effect.
It looks nice. It looks nice. I just think it looks wrong. It looks a bit more cartoony than everything else in the game. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it looks
does.
great in an elite's hand, but when you're wielding it, I think it looks a little off. Performance-wise, I think it plays just fine though.
Oh, it's great. It's really fun to use. I think I just get.
I wonder if the reason it looks cartoony is maybe they're doing something interesting with the shaders and like because you can look at it in different pictures too. Like different lighting has a really dramatic effect on the energy sword in Infinite.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm the only person who sees that, but
I'm not sure I ever paid attention. That's probably my downfall on that front. Because the thing that I noticed when, and at one point I was so confused by it, I actually went to the older games and I started just picking up the energy sword in all of them. It's the fact that like when I'm holding the energy sword in Halo Infinite, it feels more like I'm holding liquid plasma, not quite a solid bit of energy. There's no sparks. There's no lightning. It's lacking all the things that make it look like energy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't blend very well with like it's one of those blatantly distracting sort of looks because it's sort of like how the energy at the end of I forgot what the thing is called, but that one Forerunner weapon that shoots a grenade launcher sort of way.
Yeah.
That thing has it has a little animation on the end of it, a little energy animation, but the energy animation is playing at a solid 30 FPS no matter what FPS you're at, and it's super distracting. Same thing goes with the Sentinel Beam. The Sentinel Beam also has this 30 FPS animation happening in front of it. Fire in general has a 30 FPS thing going on, and also it's not helped by the fact that instead of it being like how it was before with classic Halos, where all these effects are made in engine, they appear to be just flat transparent GIFs placed on top of these weapons, and it's a little awkward to observe, and it's especially awkward when you throw a frag grenade or any other explosion that happens, because the explosions appear to not be in a 3D plane but on a 2D plane projected. So then you don't have, there's hardly a scar left on the ground, there's no dirt being flown around anywhere, there's no particle effects. It just appears to be some sort of effect that they've layered on top of it, and it makes it look very odd, and that sort of thing is, I think, is what applying to the energy sword, and it all of that just culminates into something that overly distracts me, and I'm still cracked. I can't not focus on them when I have these weapons in my hand, although every other thing on the game feels fantastic. I'm hoping that since we've gotten vehicle effects added to destroyed vehicles, and we've gotten all these other updates to the visuals, that eventually with this 10-year cycle that I guess we're going to be stuck in with Halo Infinite for a while, that means that also the visuals will get an upgrade. But I'm not. It's not a
John 11:7.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Right. So Master Chief. So Master Chief, all right, so there's a couple things that I wanted to cover with this, because this isn't just going to go into his history, because we don't have enough freaking time for that. I don't think you know this, dear listener, but I'm pretty sure that this guy has the longest Halopedia article on the entirety of the website.
Yeah, I'm scrolling through his shit right now, and oh my god, it's so long. I mean,
I don't mean to alarm you, but he is the main character, quite literally.
It's not like he's the main character or anything. So...
there's a lot to cover, and the best way that I could summarize it for you, dear listener, read the books, and I mean specifically the ones that have a Master Chief story attached to it, because there's quite a bit that he's been a part of. I think probably some of the better ones would be Oblivion, Shadows of Reach. Fall of Reach is, I think, basic literature that every person who's trying to get really into Halo lore should read. That's like, if I were to teach a course, essential. Yeah, it would be essential reading. I would make it homework, like that's how that would go. But I'm gonna kind of go into, first of all, I'm gonna try to talk more about his upbringing and how he got to where we are right now. and then I'm gonna sort of put a spin on it, and we're gonna start up some controversy if that sounds good to everyone else here.
Oh, I love
I like controversy.
Yeah, let's do
Everyone
it.
here loves stirring the
This is a
pot.
chaotic
This is
ass
great.
group of people. everyone in fucking unison. Oh, I love controversy. God.
So, starting from the very beginning, we have the good old-fashioned reflection on how actual Spartans from Sparta behaved, and we have John being taken as a small child and conscripted to the military as one does.
Honestly, a skill issue.
I'm just saying, if he was really a soldier, he could have just fought him off. At 6 years old. Which, by the way, okay. That's one beefy 6-year-old. I saw Fall of Reach animation. That dude was throwing kids.
Oh my god.
He was beaten. I mean, that's the thing that people
for his
don't
own good, because guess who got selected? He did. Guess who had their child stolen? He did. Stupid ass kid.
All right.
Kid, how dare you be fit?
The thing is, though, dude, like, John was kind of a dick.
Checks out.
He's actually he's a bully.
Bro would just casually break people's necks playing King of the Hill.
He's literally, I'm pretty sure in his first interaction is him just beating the hell out of other kids.
Yeah, he's just beating kids.
Yeah.
His
They're playing
first
King of the
training-
Hill, and they're he's just literally throwing kids down, and they're breaking their arms and stuff, and he's just
yeah,
I want to be the best.
And when he gets taken and they're doing their first training thing, they're doing that course, and it's he's with blue team for the first time, and everyone's thinking in their head oh, this is when John is going to become friends with these guys. No, it's not what happens at all. His team falls behind horribly, and he gets up there first. He's the first one to ring that bell, and immediately Sergeant Mendez, the guy who's training the Spartans, he's like, "Yeah, you fail, kid," and he's like, "What? But I made it." He's like, "Your team is dead." They're all back there crying. And he's like, but, and apparently that was the moment that he actually was like, oh, wait, right. I shouldn't be a selfish little brat. I should actually care about other people. This is fascinating information to learn at this age.
Yeah.
And he actually does pretty well from then on. It wasn't really solidified until Samuel.
Rest in peace.
Samuel.
Oh,
that in Infinite,
Sam.
that scene kind of hit.
Sam,
Stop.
you got shields,
Sam,
buddy.
Stop.
Sam, you got shields, buddy.
Oh my god, you guys are going to hell. Boiler rooms of hell for both of you.
Look,
Sam, you got an armor hole breach, buddy.
Stop. Oh my god.
I don't feel so good, Master Chief.
Oh no. Because man, when that happened in Halo Infinite, I'm not gonna lie, I started crying a little bit because
it hit different. I'm just like,
I want to play the campaign again just so I can pay more attention to moments like that, because in that moment I was completely sucked in. I was immersed right when that happened. But then again, that's the major benefit to 343 Halos. It seems even when their stories falter, their ability to tie things back to things, not even essential reading. You don't need to know anything. You could just be like, who's Samuel? And they probably answered it a little bit in the campaign, and I just completely forgot. They just do a fantastic job of blending these elements together.
Lowman was only 14 when he died. Fuck. Oh, his homeworld was Harvest.
Yeah. Rest in
Mad
pepperoni.
unfortunate.
Seriously.
Yeah.
True tragic character.
No, I was gonna say no shit. That's an understatement. I'm like, oh my god. I'm sitting here looking. We brought him up. I searched him up on Halo. Yeah, I looked at all his stats. Born July 10th, 2511. Died November 27th, 2525. 14
I want to
years
refer to my
old. Homeworld
birthday as my
Yeah.
stats.
I saw James, shut the fuck up. I saw
My stats
Homeworld.
are 25 years old.
Fuck you. Whatever. I'm gonna mute myself now.
Okay. But it was fascinating just getting to see him immediately build up that character, and it only got better as time went on, because after they actually were given the Spartan armor and all of that, things got real interesting after that. Because I'm not going to go through every single thing that this guy did, because like I said, his story is extensive. There's a lot of operations this guy has been a part of. But there's a couple of notable things that have happened, such as like I think probably one of the more entertaining ones was when he was being confronted by, I think it was the leader of this ODST battalion, the Black Daggers, and he was being confronted on the whole thing of like taking off his helmet. That it was like a sign of respect or something like that, and he wouldn't do it because he did not want to reveal that he was secretly like 17 years old underneath the helmet.
Yeah.
And I'm
what do you
like,
mean you're a child soldier?
what I'm wondering is that at what age exactly did his voice just hit the floor? You know what I'm saying? Because like it was a fairly normal voice up until the point that at some point his balls crushed the pavement beneath him. And he just had this like deep Steve Downs voice.
Chief always sounded like that from the very beginning. He was a baby right out of the womb. Deep as hell voice.
Mother.
Yeah.
Mother, I need an extraction to the dinner table.
Yeah, where's food? Oh my god.
And of course, you know, just like any major I need a cookie. But as with any, you know, strong male character, they have deep trauma. So we have to figure this out. How are we going to help this super soldier not go nuts and turn coat and kill everyone around him? Well, let's give him a cool little holographic GF. That sounds cool. And by that, of course, I mean at one point Dr. Halsey, who really, really appreciated Chief, like I'm pretty sure John was her favorite, gave him
son.
Yeah, basically. Gave Chief a AI of her own design, of her own mind, living tissue from a clone. In fact, that's why Cortana is so different, but we'll talk about that in a later episode probably. In order to enhance his performance on the field and also mitigate his, you know, inner turmoil and traumas, because Chief took Spartan casualties more seriously than anybody else. He did not hold to his promise after Samuel died that he would never let another Spartan die. Which, you know,
so he
unrealistic.
Failed quite miserably.
Yeah, I think that's a promise he shouldn't have made. The good news is he didn't make it to Cortana, so it's not a promise he made that he broke to her. But I mean, his performance immediately improved. Dude was nuts. He was slapping missiles out of the air. He was going buck wild at this point. And it was shortly after being given Cortana that things started kind of wrapping up / going severely downhill, because it was shortly after that we actually had Reach invaded and destroyed basically glass. Not really like destroyed, but you know, we're starting to repopulate it now. At least we're terraforming it as of right now in the timeline 2560. We're getting there. By 2978 or something like that, 2589, I think it'll be ready for human habitation again. So that's cool.
Bringing it back. We're back.
Yeah,
progress.
We're bringing Reach back, baby. And then the Banished pull up, and then
yeah, literally.
So we have a lot of stuff that happens after that, because of course after Reach you've got what happens on Installation 04 and Halo Combat Evolved. A bunch of books happen, and then we're into Halo 2 with Installation 05, and you know we're starting to finish the fight, and you go through all of that stuff and you get to Halo 3 where we get to Earth, which kind of entertaining that Halo 2 and Halo 3 happen on the same day. And it's just kind of culminating that way. And after everything that had gone down with what happened on the Ark and everything like that, and he saves the galaxy as he does and wipes out multiple armies in one fell swoop with his homeboy Gator Man, he goes off and signs up for Halo 4 as the lead star. And so
there was a casting call and everything. He sat down, you know, they brought him in, and he's like, I got my lines right here.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like,
and then he got right back in the cryopod.
yeah. I need a weapon. And they're like,
fun fact, Steve Downs has actually said that Halo 4 was his favorite game to work on. That's because he had to do a lot of method acting. They actually froze Steve Downs in cryo.
Yeah. It was real.
But no, actually, for real though, Halo 4 is Steve Downs' favorite game that he's ever worked on, just for the fact that, one, he enjoyed not being told to just do one-liners the entire time, and two, he got to actually body act for Chief. He was in the motion capture suit.
Yeah.
And it's the only game that he's in the motion capture suit. I don't know why they didn't let him do it again for Halo 5, but, you know, who cares, I guess. and it was fantastic. I mean, people have asked him so many times, and listen, just because at this point, I could probably consider myself an interviewer, and as an interviewer, I can confidently say, if you are actually going out of your way to ask a dude the same question that he's been asked like 20 different times, what's your favorite Halo that you worked on? Why is it your favorite Halo that you worked on? Listen, guys, Halo 4, because it was the one time he actually got to work with Jen Taylor face to face, both of them in body suits, and they were doing that scene where Cortana says goodbye for the final time, and it actually made Steve Downs cry.
I think a big part of the fan base I at this point, I feel like if you actually follow Halo, you know that like Halo 4 was his favorite one. But I honestly feel like a lot of Halo fans are just in straight up denial. Like, no, his favorite Halo to work on can't be Halo 4. Like, I think people are actually upset about the fact that he liked working on Halo 4 the most. I genuinely think it just bothers the fan base.
Well, that's too damn bad.
I mean, imagine from his perspective.
But I don't like that game.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Imagine from Steve Downs, or really any of the voice actors, but in particular Steve Downs and Jen Taylor, from their perspective, it's the first time that they're working face to face. It's the first time where, you have this large production. And also, it's the first time where Master Chief, no offense to the original trilogy, he's an actual character.
He acts human.
To talk about.
Yeah, he acts human.
That's absolutely
I agree.
what happens.
I agree.
Because 343 had a different goal in mind, and I think it was a good goal. I think many people would give plenty of arguments these days because they did back in those days. But the Bungie trilogy, they were very clear. They said it multiple times. Chief was not supposed to have a character because you're supposed to be Chief. But 343 looked at that and were like, but guys, Chief is so cool. Why don't we just give him a character? So I think they made a really good. Whenever I was a teenager, I would have been upset, and I was upset. I didn't like Halo 4 at all when it dropped. I played it a lot, but that's only because it was the latest Halo, and I was 12 years old. And me and Shane played the hell out of it. I think the first piece of content that I ever made was us playing Team Snipers, and that's a famous video among this friend group. And so
just sneaked in there.
It just gotta slip it in. Nobody's gonna know that reference at all.
Exactly.
But that's the interesting thing is
Look at
that
the description.
No, it will not. But Halo 4, I was incredibly cynical of, and I actually used to be a very, very, very big 343 hater. I would not take anything that they did as anything other than sacrilege against the Halo franchise. But then they did this really, really quirky thing called Master Chief Collection, and Halo 2 Anniversary, and then brought Blur Studios in to do the cutscenes for it. And then they revived like all of the games and brought all of that to Xbox, and then they did Halo Wars 2, and then they did Outpost Discovery. Basically, like over the course of time, I realized that they actually do care about this franchise quite a bit.
Yeah, there's an incredible amount of people at 343 at Microsoft who really do. Like genuine, and even the outsourcing studios, Liquid Development, all the people at Certain Affinity, like, and Creative Assembly, like the guys who worked on Halo Wars 2, like they love the franchise. Working on a franchise of that scale is like a dream for many designers, artists. Something that, especially Halo, imagine that, something that for a lot of these people they grew up with, where they were playing. At the least, some of these people were playing it in college. When it first came out. Imagine, the culmination of a career and you're working on this game that you used to play at LANs. That must have been incredible for a ton of those people.
Now, what would you say in response to the? I wouldn't know if they're really rumors by this point, but the claims that within 343, the leadership and some of the employees, at least a good chunk of the employees, actually didn't care about Halo at all, and they were just looking for a resume.
I mean, it's a big franchise, right? So any time that you have a really big project like that, something like massive, well-known, there's always going to be a level of, is this a leap board for a lot of other people? But even with that, when game designers are I am not a game designer, but talking from experience working on projects parallel to that world, knowing a lot of industry people, most of the team at Chokepoint is industry. Nobody ever works on a game, even if they don't have like a deep interest in the project that they're working on. nobody ever goes into it without a level of passion and a level of, we're going to make the most kick-ass project, the most kick-ass product ever. And that's what they go out to do. Whether something gets in between that goal, everybody has a game where they're like, I remember this coming out and being really disappointed. There's many of them in the modern era. And
Yes.
maybe Halo was that for some people, Halo 4, 5, Infinite, whatever. But the people who worked on those games, of which there were countless in some instances, if you ever want to know what it takes to make a AAA game today, watch, really don't speed up. Watch in real time and just don't even try to count. Just bring into your soul how goddamn long the Halo Infinite credit list is. And that's to keep in mind, that's not the full list because credits won't have every single person who worked on a production. It's not going to list literally every single human being. There might be a few people who fall through the cracks, and they can't update it for post-launch content. So it's like literally thousands and thousands of people have worked on your favorite Halo games. Even from the very beginning, it was still a fairly reasonably sized team from CE onwards, especially Halo 2 onwards when Bungie started to seriously grow. So it's like, but by the time we get to 343's era, there are thousands of people working on each of these games. And so, that's sorry to tangent this, but there's always been this bit of a narrative where people have this perspective that there's going to be one guy at the top and they're going to make a call and that's going to change the entire production. But in a corporate development environment, it just doesn't work like that. Everything's done via committee. It has to go through dozens of people in leadership, from your senior artists up to your producers, all the way up to your directors, et cetera, et cetera. There's stacks of people that are making these decisions, which can make it more difficult to make decisions. And it is what it is, But at the end of the day, those people were passionate. Like, I don't think anybody in leadership, Bonnie Ross, and I think we ended up with what we got because of a lot of series of unfortunate events in management, potentially beyond 343. But who knows? We'll never know the full story, unfortunately.
I want to one day, I know it's like a really, really big, this would be almost impossible, but I would love to have someone like Bonnie Ross or Frank O'Connor to join and talk. Mostly because I think this would be a very relaxed place to talk about something like that, and most of all supportive. But also just because the one thing that I can never get over is that we have so many things that we can observe that are going wrong with, in our perspective, going wrong with, let's say, how they handle the Master Chief, or how they handled the plot, or how they handle the lore, or how they handle the art style, or anything of these sorts. But we never get to know where these decisions are coming from, who is behind what. If we were to look back at the Bungie era, I think we talked about this last week, one of the best parts about them was that we got a direct window into what was happening in that studio all the time. And we even know to the degree that Jason Jones didn't want Halo 2. He is very well known for never wanting to do sequels for anything. He hates sequels. But when Combat Evolved took off, he finally was like, okay, fine, let's do Halo 2. And I mean, just being able to watch that conversation happen live because Marty or someone else was recording it and then uploaded it, and you could actually go see that publicly. It's like, I would love to have something like that to whatever degree that we can, where we get to see these people actually talk about, hey, this is the sort of stuff that you got to deal with. This is the sort of stuff we have to think about. And it's strange to keep that sort of thing hidden, in my opinion, just because if you have this sort of huge problem happening where you've effectively split the community, and not even in half, you've split it into multiple different sections, because you got the angry veterans, you got the happy veterans, you got the angry newcomers, you got the happy newcomers, you got the fans from other franchises that are trying Halo for the first time. You've got little kids that are now growing up with the new Halo, versus the teenagers that are growing up with the new Halo, versus the adults that have been with Halo since the beginning. You got a lot of these people, a lot of different groups, and you're not satisfying, I think, any of them by trying to keep everything under lock and key. Like, I can get it in the age of leaks, but I think I talked about this before. I think leakers only care about leaking things that they aren't really a big fan of. Otherwise, they would just let them do what they do.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, that's the thing I want.
It's a whole thing, you know, and to pivot to Master Chief in particular, right? Like, I think that the way that 340, I'm a very firm believer in a particular method of narrative design, right? So when you're dealing with a character, I'm not a huge fan of vessels. For me, I know I'm not the character. I want to play a story where there is a story being told and there's a character that's sort of acting it out, and I'm kind of along for a ride. And there's going to be another group of people. It's probably a 50-50 split, really, depending on how people like to bring in, sort of play out their own stories and games. But it's like, whether you really enjoy the vessel aspect of the narrative sort of design of CE 2, 3 Reach, ODST even, where you're a character in the world, but the character you're playing as, they might have a very loose backstory, right? Master Chief, Petty Officer John 117. But you don't actually know really any of that in CE. You don't know about any of that in 2. There's a suite of characters around you that are characters. But Master Chief, you're basically just a camera that sometimes spouts out a random one-liner. And we suddenly hit Halo 4, and we have this big narrative shift, right? Master Chief is suddenly a huge character. He's talking. He's got some of his backstory is being brought into the foreground. Some of the stuff from the multimedia releases, books, comics, etc. Hey, let's incorporate it into the story. Whether or not it was elegantly incorporated into the story is a totally different conversation, but which many people will debate. It's the age we live in, debate. But I think, for me, personally, Master Chief with a story is all the more compelling because we get to see, actors like Jen Taylor, Steve Downes. They get to play with these characters and build them out in a way that makes you want to know more about them. And for me, modern Master Chief, he's kind of Kino. He's kind of there.
Yeah, I mean,
he's the guy.
I've thought about this a little bit. It's kind of funny to me that Bungie was like, we're gonna make a vessel character, and then they did Halo Reach. Yeah. And Noble 6 is quite literally the pinnacle of a vessel character, because if you're going to actually look into Noble 6's lore, you might get a couple paragraphs. You got to fill in the rest yourself.
I wish we would get, like, a perfect example of this is like Dead Space. Dead Space 1 to Dead Space 2. There's this huge shift. And I remember back in the day when 2 came out, there was a lot of people who didn't really like Dead Space 2 because suddenly this vessel of a character that was Isaac Clarke, no voice lines at all, a true vessel, suddenly is talking. He has a narrative. He has a character arc. He's talking to other people in the world, and it's shocking when you sort of encounter that. But for me, Dead Space 2, damn, one of the best.
Well,
first
of all, fantastic perspectives. I very much appreciate that.
Hey there, Halo fans. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with our friends right after these messages.
I appreciate that. That's exactly what I want. Because that's the thing. I think many of us, including myself, including probably James and Shane here, are very tired of seeing so not James, it's okay, are very tired of seeing basically the exact same just broken record of everything that's wrong with Halo, everything that's wrong with it. And it's like, I can still understand, because I don't think we should ever, whatever happened with Halo Infinite, I don't think we should ever forget. I think we should forgive, just because it's ultimately it wasn't their goal to release Halo Infinite into whatever state it was.
Yeah.
But it still shouldn't be forgotten. But it shouldn't be something that I talked about this on the first episode of Terminals that we did on the re-release that we did recently. There's this one person on Twitter, which I'm going to no longer refer to her as a she, because it's more than likely she's just pretending, or he's just pretending to be a girl for the internet clout. this person on Twitter named Haley. Dude, I'm actually, you know what? Real quick, I'm gonna actually just look up this person's Twitter, and I'm gonna find their most recent post, and I'm going to guarantee you, it is something talking the just 343 as a whole, just because that is basically all of this person posts, and there's no way most of it is actually like, yep, here we go.
Oh no, the controversy.
Oh my lord, this post actually is way longer than I thought it was going to be. I'm only going to read the first couple paragraphs. Oh my gosh, this person bought Twitter Plus or Twitter Blue, whatever the hell it's called, just to post essays. 343 has completely ruined the gravity hammer. I can kind of get behind that opening statement, just a little bit, just because I don't like how the gravity hammer feels, and also like I don't like the extended animation, and probably the thing I would say the objective thing that probably shouldn't be there is the melee, not the heavy attack, like not pushing the trigger. I'm talking pushing the button. It's the same animation
as well. Yeah,
and there's just no boom.
Is there no alternative?
No, it's not like the past games where you hit it with the butt of your weapon or you use the bladed end. No, it's the same animation.
Was it 4 or 5 that had the big swing animation that would sometimes happen? That was always, it was like this,
that was 4.
Hella long.
Yeah, that was awesome. So one of the funnest weapons in Halo Sandbox and a franchise-defining feature no longer works as originally designed by Bungie. The gravity hammer played a big role in Halo Sandbox. Blah 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 blah. They took away its gravity-altering ability and explosive impact. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Basically, she claims that 343 ripped off... Yeah, they stole the fun aspects of the Bungie gravity hammer and applied them to the new repulsor equipment with an attempt to deceive players into thinking 343 invented something new and cool when the truth is they didn't.
It's certainly a fucking take.
This person posts this stuff all the time. They're like, there's nothing that adds to any form of conversation. It's basically just extended complaining. And I could, like I said, I think there's something that you could say that if you talk about something objective, like there is no animation for standard melee with a gravity hammer in Halo Infinite. Now, why is that? That's a genuine thing you should probably ask about. The gravity hammer not having gravity altering effects. Well, I have seen people throw things across the map with the gravity hammer, so surely that's not really a thing anymore. Is it to the same degree?
Yeah,
it's certainly reduced. But I don't think I would be able to take that just because 343 most certainly still wants to play around with physics. Their physics engine in Halo Infinite is busted. I've seen it in custom games.
It's still Havoc. It's still, as far as I'm aware, like the back end engine side physics is still. Don't quote me on this. I'm fairly certain it's still Havoc though. So whatever we've had from CE onwards, the back end, the physics bed, the basis by which all physics calculations are being done is Havoc. It's ubiquitous. It's used.
It's partially why I don't want them to switch to a completely new engine, just because I'm terrified of them trying to recreate that.
Well, even if they did, Havoc has plugins for Unreal. That's cool. They'd be able to recreate it.
That's good.
It's other elements of Halo that would be in dire straits.
So skipping all the way back to Chief, because we have more controversial stuff to talk about that here in a bit. And I'm sure that everyone's understood by now. This is an extended episode because 25, baby. But the Master Chief, he, I guess, pushes Didact off a bridge, and Didact just kind of survives. And then Chief, off screen in a comic, fights Didact again, still doesn't kill him, just banishes him to the Shadow Realm, basically. And then that's that. Black Team is dead, by the way. That's the one thing I really don't like, is the amount of off-screen deaths that suddenly happened.
It was a period of time where that was just, it was like, man, who's next?
I didn't want it to be Rookie, man.
Oh, God.
I did not want it to be Rookie. So then we get into Halo 5, which Cortana is back, everyone. Congrats, except she's crazy. Oh no. more importantly, she now has control over the domain. Bonkers, crazy. What's the domain? That's a good question, 16-year-old Austin, who didn't know what the domain was at the time. It's a, you know, it's a galaxy controlling, I guess, thing that can for anyone who doesn't know what the domain is, this is basically how it comes off. A thing that can be used to control the galaxy and these terrifying giant creatures that can decimate entire surfaces of worlds. And Cortana just has them now. That's pretty awesome, I guess.
It's kind of like the Forerunner internet.
Yeah. And better yet, Chief is schizophrenic. So that's pretty sick. Halo 5, everybody. That's basically it when it comes to Chief, because there's not much else to Chief's story in that game.
I really enjoyed seeing him 3 times. That was truly the most Master Chief story we've ever had.
Truly one of the Master Chief stories of all time. And then that's the gist of his adventures until, you know, a while later, when after the created have been defeated, because we don't get to see what that looked like, we are now on Zeta Halo, one of the most mysterious Halo rings that we've ever seen, and we get to explore the entirety, well, at least a small chunk of that Halo ring as the Master Chief. And the Master Chief in Halo Infinite, as a character, doesn't really go anywhere, except he goes from not trusting the weapon to trusting the weapon, and that's pretty much it. And so Chief's character has not really moved a whole lot since Halo 5. And, you know, putting aside that, I'm not entirely sure about that bad boy. But aside from that, his whole story is mostly told throughout a select few novels, which, again, any of them that have Master Chief story on them, just read them. Just because if you really want to get, it's kind of like if you really like Boba Fett, except like Boba Fett is a much more extreme example who only had 5 lines in the entirety of the original trilogy, and then got a bunch of stories written
them all
about
into a tweet. Well, tweets are longer now, but the way tweets used to be, you could fit all of Boba Fett's lines into one.
Yes,
Sorry,
and one of those lines was just him shouting anyway. So I hate getting the emails now. It's like X, formerly Twitter. No one's gonna call it X. No one. Not
you
a
guys see
soul.
that ad for X where the Twitter bird gets fucking killed by the X logo?
No.
Oh my god, what?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Well, is it official? Was it they made it?
I don't know. I just saw it one day.
Oh my god.
I just saw it, like, I don't remember where I saw it. I don't know if it was a real ad or just something someone made.
Look in general. Look in
Pretty
general.
sure Mr. Musk himself
Oh my
posted it,
God.
actually, now I remember.
Oh my
think about
lord.
it.
What, the poor bird?
No.
His little feather falls off. What a detail. Jeez.
That looks like something that Elon Musk would post.
That's some awesome motion graphics, though. Yeah,
so
Like,
now that we've gotten,
don't get me wrong. It goes hard, but I miss Blue Bird. Okay.
bring
Miss
it back. He was a
Bluebird.
pleasant color.
Bluebird made me feel a little bit better about all of the annoying arguments that I had to witness every day.
Yeah,
Oh
now
my
those
God.
just stick out like a sore thumb.
Don't you just
So-
love when somebody is blue and they're on the tab of the conversation? You're like, shit. I don't know. I don't know, Chief.
Oh, Chief. Speaking of Chief,
Yeah.
Speaking of Master Chief,
after we have
Incredible
Halo
segue.
Infinite wrapped up and we're left at where we're at right now, the only other thing that we have about Chief's story is that at some point he's recognized with a monument made in his honor back where they had that funeral for him when they thought he was dead. And that was the whole Halo 3 Believe campaign where they have all these UNSC veterans talk about when Chief would come save them. Beautiful ad campaign, probably one of the best that Halo has ever had. So aside from that, there's really nothing else that we know about the foreseeable future. We don't know where Chief is going to end up next. We're just going to have to sit back and wait. But if you're itching for more Chief stories, there is something out there for you. A completely alternate version of Chief, the Silver Timeline Chief.
Oh,
Which we don't have to talk
Jimmy
about.
Rings.
Oh, dude, you don't want to talk about Master Cheeks?
Dude, he's such a good good character.
Okay, here's the thing. I need to real quick clarify something to you guys. See, my wife, she has this condition called hyperacusis, which means she can hear me at all times because her hearing is turned up all the way. And it's a very fascinating condition. Not at all fun to live with, but it does mean that she can hear me at all times. She just texted me, "Yay, Master Cheeks." So before I even said Master Cheeks, she sent that. So okay. Here's the deal, all right? What the hell?
You know what? You mind if I hit you with an interesting take? Maybe not hot, maybe not cold. I don't know.
I will absolutely accept a take because I'm also going to ask Ash for his take after you.
Oh, hell yeah. So, all right. Amongst all of the potential flaws that we could talk about in the show, I actually think Master Chief is a really interesting and compelling character in it because we get to see a take of a character in an alternate form, right? Like, what if Master Chief is suddenly, they're dealing with this emotional sort of dysregulation, and they don't know how to control it. They don't know what's happening. They've been lied to their entire life in this version of the universe. In the other, he's hella known that he's been kidnapped. But in this world, you're uncovering it for the first time. And we're seeing what is his experience unraveling this lie. And I find it really fascinating. I actually really like all of the Spartans in the show. Literally all of them are interesting. Like, what is it? Silver Team? And,
Yeah.
oh no, the dude, the guy.
So interesting, you can't even remember their names.
Soren. Sorry. Soren's awesome. I love Soren. And I really enjoy Master Chief and Soren sort of a bit back and forth, kind of like an old married couple coming back together and, bickering. But I really enjoy those characters, and I think that Master Chief's story has the potential in that show to be genuinely compelling. Here's some changes that should be done for the rest of the show.
Okay, so without condoning or condemning, Ash, what would your response to that take be?
Well, I
Debate
did enjoy the show. I personally really enjoyed the show. Just like I went into it knowing it wouldn't be what Halo is as like the game series or like the books or the animated series. I knew like I went into a very open mindset. I knew if I went in there thinking this better be like this, like this, like this, I would hate it. And like there were some parts, immediately episode 1, helmet off, flipping the couch.
Oh, yeah.
A little upset. But it's just like open mindset, at least it was nice. For the most part, it had, it was a live action show that had a lot of Halo aspects. It had nice CGI for the most part. It just, the storytelling, it's there. The aspects are there. Characters are there. It's just, overall, I liked it. But it could have been a lot better.
Now, Shane, I'm gonna ask you to go last because I know you're gonna be talking the most. So, James, what would your response be to those takes?
You see, you might be able to go back and call me out for walking it back if you go back to the Halo TV show episode, because I don't remember what I said or what my opinions were, but my response to the show has always been, it didn't really, a lot of it bugged me, but honestly, as a sci-fi, if you look at it as a sci-fi show, just a sci-fi show, if you take Halo out of your brain and just think of the Halo things as cool things.
Well, it's hard to take Halo out of it. It's hard to take Halo out of it when it's a show made for Halo.
Yeah.
Yes. It's not exact. It's hard to phrase. Okay. But as a show, like a narrative, I don't think it's that bad. As a Halo adaptation, it struggles, definitely. But from episode to episode, it's like there's a narrative. There are things I enjoy about the story. And I was able to get enjoyment as I watched it. Like, I finished the whole first season. So, like, that says something. Like, I know a lot of people who didn't even get past the first episode.
Oh.
Now, Shane, I've saved the stage for you. So, would you have anything to say to these takes?
Okay. So, I'm
ready.
I see where James is coming from, but like there's just so many different things that they could have done with that TV show, and I will stand by that. Like, yes, as like taking away like try to looking past the Halo name, which is extremely hard to do because it is a show made for Halo with Halo characters. So regardless how you want to look at it, it is a Halo show. There is literally I believe half a year time period between Halo 5 and Halo Infinite that we don't know what the happened. If you're not going to put it in the game, you could have damn well put it in the TV show, bare minimum.
Yeah.
So it could like something to progress the story and enrich the universe. Making a show that isn't canon and going off like the base storyline isn't doing anything, and it made the show feel more like a cash grab for the people who made it rather than a service to the fans that we deserve.
I do find it interesting when you go and look at Paramount's response about Halo's success.
Yeah.
Just because I would agree that it is odd for 343, who has proven to be rather effective at this multimedia thing, considering how Bungie hadn't even considered it. It was a 343 idea to make Halo multimedia in the first place.
Yeah.
The fact that they didn't make the show that to fill in a gap, because they wouldn't retell a story. It's not something that they really do. They only did it one time, and that was with Fall of Reach, really.
And even that was different.
Yeah. And it's just odd to see them do something completely away from canon, but it also makes me wonder how much it was. It makes me wonder how much it was Paramount, because Paramount's response is what I find the most fascinating.
I'm sure it was.
Well, listen, this is what they said. This is what they said, right? They said they think Halo is very franchisable.
So they're looking at they're looking at it as a cash grab.
I mean, no, worse than that. Worse than that. They don't even know that Halo is already a franchise.
Right. It's just like.
Well, I think they're probably on the board of like. So you've got to understand where Paramount's coming from when they're saying franchisable. They're saying franchisable in the show, stream, data, video, and also movie potentially right front. Like, I think that. Here's the thing with the show. The potential is there for it to be better and have improvements. I think some of it probably, it may have been. My little conspiracy theory. This happens with a lot of shows. This is a take that you've probably heard a million other places, but I think there was probably a pre-existing script, like a pre-existing screenplay, that was available, and they were like, "Hey, what if we've had the show in development hell for a really long time. We're gonna retune this thing to make it easier to get it into production finally, and reduced upfront cost. We won't have to bring in too many writers. We can throw in maybe some slightly inexperienced showrunners, not throwing those guys under the bus. I think they probably did well with what they had on hand, and retool something to work for Halo, and like, yeah, maybe, I don't know. For all we know, it was totally, completely fresh, and the direction was right from the beginning. And maybe this was for like a decade, because remember the show was announced like what, 2013? That's a hell of a long time.
Back, because like the way that it basically has gone with Halo's visual media has been, hey, we're gonna make a movie in 2007 with Neil Blomkamp in his first movie, and everyone's like, who's that? And he's like, oh, they apprenticed under Peter Jackson. He apprenticed under who? And Neil Blomkamp is like, yeah, I'll absolutely do this. This is awesome. I've already got props in production. And Bungie's like, you haven't done any movies before. Sorry, we're not going to really trust you with like, our godchild. Like, this is kind of a golden goose over here. And he's like, okay, fine. Goes and makes one of the coolest sci-fi films of all time, District 9. And everyone's like, but that could have been Halo, because District 9 uses all the props that were made for the Halo movie. That's why some things look a little bit more Halo than others.
Which makes you question some things, too, with that production. You get some insight into what Halo as a film at that time could have looked like. And I think, honestly, if you go read the leaked original script that was for like Chronicles, which is like the name, I believe the name of the film at the time, you'll encounter some stuff that's like really wacky. Like it's a genuinely
Oh yeah, like
fucked
Master
up script.
Chief
It's really weird.
having a evil brother that he has to
Yeah,
fight at the end.
dude,
Yeah.
there's so much bad. No offense to whoever wrote that script. There's so much just insane in that script that I'm of the camp that maybe we were spared. We were spared for a long time from something really bad.
Now, I am curious to know, because after that, we haven't heard anything. We didn't hear anything about any visual media until the Xbox One dropped. And then we got Steven Spielberg saying, hey, I'm working on a Halo TV show. Isn't that so exciting? Anyway, bye. And then disappears for the rest of time.
Yeah, he wasn't an executive producer listed on the current show, right? I think
Nope.
he stepped away.
Think so.
In some iteration of the show, he stepped away.
I'm so fascinated to know what he was wanting that they didn't do. That, you know what I mean? Because it's not common for, especially for Spielberg. Yeah. I mean, the dude he's worked on a lot of stuff that seemed kind of out of pocket, you know?
What was infeasible at the time would make me really interested. Like, what were Microsoft execs looking at? And wasn't it Showtime at one point too? Like,
yeah, it was
wasn't
Showtime
Paramount.
Originally.
Yeah, it's like, what were they looking at? Where they were like, this is an untenable situation. Let's restart production again.
Yeah,
like,
it's most fascinating for someone from my perspective, because I've, in my background, I do global marketing. That's my actual career. I work with right now I'm hired full time by a single company to work global marketing for them. But since I do this global marketing thing, there's a lot of aspects to marketing and to producing short films and to producing documentaries and to producing all of these things in order to try to gain attention towards a brand or a company or a name or a product.
Yeah.
That it's fascinating to now look at what's going on with 343 and Halo and just kind of wonder what conversations are happening in this room, because I've heard these conversations before. I'm guaranteeing it. And I'd be very fascinated to know where these decisions were coming from. And at one point, someone who might have been just a Halo fan who was like, but why don't we do this, was sidelined because their idea was straight up just not possible to do.
Yeah. I mean, think about it too, from a marketing perspective. Hey, we're going to tell the story again. Well, how do you sell it to people who've already seen that story? I mean,
yeah,
some people might be interested in seeing it again. We're kind of in an era of that right now. The Last of Us show was like, it was painful watching that after Halo, because here's this story, and yeah, it's a direct retelling with some beautiful notes of new, aspects to the narrative.
Well, that's the thing, is like, if you really want to come at it from that direction, I think a good direct comparison would be with Comedy Evolved and The Flood, because Comedy Evolved and The Flood are the exact same story, but The Flood adds in a whole bunch of different stuff that's happening at the exact same time. And that was the fascinating part. Or Alpha Base in general, or what happened to poor Jenkins for being like half infected and conscious while he's being infected.
Or that one elite who was in the escape pod.
Yeah, and then did not last long after that. And it's like, the fascinating thing is that with that script that we're talking about just now, that was all in that script. This was all going to be addressed. And so like I'm very much interested in the idea of retelling these stories, but adding an expansion, because we already have gotten that, I would say twice, honestly, because we have The Flood expanding Halo Comedy Evolved, but we also have Hunt the Truth expanding Halo 2 a little bit.
And to some extent, even, I mean, post Halo 2 with First Strike, to some extent. It's like, or sorry, post CE into 2. So it's like that mix story of what happened after the Halo ring was blown up.
But even then, I would say that Shane made an excellent point earlier by saying that there are chunks of Halo's story that have yet to even be touched by the Halo novels. If there was a show or something like that told the story of what happened with the Created's reign, because all we really have with the Created's reign is probably 2 or 3 novels, and that's it.
I've got a Master Chief related question here. What do you guys think his interaction with Atriox is going to be if they bring Atriox back in season 2? I've been thinking about this for a long time. Okay.
I would hope. So I'm on 2 sides of the coin here, because there's the one side of the coin that really didn't like Escharum at all,
Yeah.
And I would very much like Chief to just kind of soldier it up and just be like, you again, that sort of thing, that sort of vibe. But then there's the other side of it where narratively it would make sense for after fighting Escharum, Chief has more of this honorable warrior's perspective, and he respects Atriox as an opponent, and is more methodical about how he wants to take him down instead of just, I need a weapon, and goes in like that.
Yeah.
So what I would like, Atriox is much more of a philosophical character than we have often given him credit for. And I probably would enjoy having some sort of a back and forth dialogue between him and Chief, or him and Weapon, if we're going to be going that far. Just to sort of, first of all, make it so that we actually have Atriox as the main bad guy, please. And also so that we potentially get something that we don't really get from Chief very often. We've gotten it twice, fascinating number of times in the games. Philosophy, perspective, a concept, because Halo 4, we got his perspective on, hey, what is it like being a soldier but a machine at the same time? And Halo Infinite, hey, humans make mistakes. And that was pretty much the gist of it. I'd love to get a lot more than that.
It even expands into the AI. AI make mistakes, guys. AI, humans, look, everybody makes mistakes. Planets blow up when they're made. But they're made.
I don't make mistakes.
Flawless.
Yeah. So the last thing that I wanted to talk about in relation to the Master Chief was the last topic of Silver Timeline and everything like that. That was one controversial thing. This one is probably going to be sort of a sad controversial thing. Talks right now have been, interestingly enough, the same thing is happening with Optimus Prime's voice actor, but people are talking about Steve Downs' retirement. Thankfully, they're not treating it the same way as Optimus Prime's voice actor. I don't really know why they're looking at Scully and being like, or not Scully, I don't remember his last name, but being like, hey, you should retire. You're old now. And it's like, but guys, he loves playing his character. He's probably going to be playing it until he dies. And Steve Downs, I'm fairly certain his attachment to Master Chief is probably going to also last until he's just not on this earth anymore. And so people have been talking a lot, though, because of this topic, because of this conversation, who would be either the next Master Chief or who would be the next Master Chief in voice and then keep it going. And I've gotten I've gotten one good answer, I've gotten one iffy answer, and I've gotten one horrible answer, and I'll explain all of them. So the horrible answer, let's make Steve Downs' voice an AI. No. I firmly stand against that, just because I don't think anybody's ready for how weird that would feel to know that that's not a real person that's talking to you. I wouldn't be able to do that. The second option is recasting Steve Downs, getting somebody else to play the character, or just killing Master Chief and letting his character just kind of go off. But that last one leads into I think the best choice to make, and that's replace the main protagonist of Halo. And everyone's first choice right now is Jerome.
Oh, yeah.
Hey there, Halo fans. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with our friends right after these messages.
I would be 100% down with having Jerome take over, because that guy is awesome.
He's a bit of a badass.
He's awesome. I mean, he's already done some stuff that's kind of comparable to the things that the Chief has done.
Jerome on the art, Jerome on the Spirit of Fire. He's out there, man. He's
doing his thing somewhere. I was hoping, listen, I don't know. I know I shouldn't have had as many expectations as I did, but I was really hoping to have at least some form of Halo Wars 2 crossover into Halo Infinite. Like, Chief is on his last legs. There's this massive battle that he's taking part in, and the Spirit of Fire comes out of slip space right above. Captain Cutter's like, didn't expect to see you here, 117, and does this whole song and dance. And Red Team drops in to be the replacement for Blue Team since they're not there for some reason.
If you look at the art book for Infinite, I think at one point there was definitely somebody, at least in concepting, there was like, yeah, let's, because there's a couple of times in the concepts where the Spirit of Fire shows up, just it's there, and you're like, well, I really wonder what they wanted to do with that. Could you imagine Chief, Jerome interacting? Just Red Team. Suddenly, there's
I would
another
love
cast of
that.
Spartan.
Because another reason why I really want that is because, man, I want more Spartan 2s talking to each other. Because these guys quite literally grew up together.
Yeah.
I want that. Because, I mean, that was one thing in Halo Wars 2 when Jerome was like, good to hear John still kicking. Like,
I want Jerome to show up and be like, you kind of look old, Chief. You know, they've been in cryo for so long. They're spry. They're 25 or whatever they were when they were frozen. Chief's this old, haggard man that's seen the entire war.
Actually, wait, I want to figure this out. Hold on. If they were frozen in 25, right at the beginning of the war, and they were frozen for 30 years, that would actually make Jerome like 19.
Oh my god. Dude, Jerome, that's the thing. There's so much interesting potential there. I really hope that if we don't get DLC with Infinite, expansion story-wise, more of Chief's story, I really do hope that they take the potential of all of the plot threads that they've sort of seeded for the entire universe and just bring it. If we're getting rid of Chief, I am solidly not of the idea of recasting Steve Downes. I think when you have a character and the aspect of that character, the soul of the character, which is, I think in a lot of these instances, the voice actor, I think it's really difficult to recast them. We talked about this it was literally last week. I think we were talking about Destiny and recasting Nathan Fillion, right? When he whatever casting issue was happening at the time, and was it Nolan North that they brought in to cover for the One Destiny 2 expansion?
We talked about this last week, actually. Nathan Fillion, he was the voice of Cade 6 in Destiny 2, and he couldn't show up for the DLC where Cade 6 dies. And so Nolan North, who was the voice actor for Ghost, was like, I can do Nathan Fillion's voice. And they're like, you can do Nathan Fillion's voice? And then replying in Nathan Fillion's voice, yes.
And it's like, when you look at it, well, rather, listen to it, you can still tell, right? There's the aspect of his voice that's there. It's not quite Nathan Fillion, and it's a great, right, homage to that character, to Nathan Fillion's, voice acting prowess. But it's not quite the same. It doesn't have the same sort of levity of everything.
Everyone can hear it, and most importantly, it's sort of like if someone were to try to mimic James Earl Jones as Darth Vader, nobody can sound like James Earl Jones.
It's, when you have these people that have been involved in the production of something for a generation or more, right? Earl Jones is an incredible example. He's old. Yeah, he's in his 90s now, right?
Yep.
He's hella old, and there's going to be a day where we don't have him. And do we continue telling stories with Vader? I mean, in any theater production, right? You recast people pretty frequently, but I think in like games and media, it's a very difficult sell. You've got to find.
Did you hear about what happened with Darth Vader actually?
No.
Oh, my friend.
Did Disney do a Disney?
Oh, Disney did a Disney, my friend. More importantly, James Earl Jones did a unexpected move. Disney presented him with, hey, because here's the thing. I completely understand this. James Earl Jones has defined his career by Darth Vader. He's a huge fan of Darth Vader, and he believes that it will be the mark that he's left on culture when he dies. And so Disney came to him and was like, hey, we want to keep on doing stories that involve Darth Vader once you're gone. Would you be okay with us making a super advanced AI imprint of your voice and keeping your character alive in this way? And he agreed.
I mean, hey, if you get the consent of the actor, I think it's okay. I just, there's that aspect of from the grave, right? That is really hard to get around.
The thing is that it's really good, because Kenobi, that show, that was not James Earl Jones.
We don't talk about Kenobi. We don't talk about Kenobi.
We don't talk about, I'm talking about just this part because I don't want to talk about the rest of it. This is, first of all, a Halo podcast. Second of all, no, I just don't want to talk about the show. But Darth Vader, that's not James Earl Jones. Like, yeah, that's his voice, but that's not him.
No.
that's someone else playing him, and they basically deep faked his voice on top of it.
If you've ever watched Star Trek and you've listened to the computer in the background, so I would say that Star Trek is probably the first franchise that's done this, where the computer was voiced by Gene Roddenberry's wife. So Gene Roddenberry was the main guy behind Star Trek, and his wife, she was on the show. Not to get into it, she was one of the characters, but in particular, she was the voice of the ship, the computer. So Majel Barrett, and she, before dying, pretty sure quite early, actually, like decades before her death, she voiced out pretty much every possible consonant, every possible sound, so that they could effectively build a voice model of her, so that they could.
It's like a very, very early Siri.
Yeah. So in perpetuity, use her voice for later shows. I don't know if they're still doing this in the latest shows, but for a very long time, it was her in all the media. Whenever the computer would talk, it would be Majel Barrett's voice. She passed away in 2008, and they were still using her voice, I think, in Discovery. So it's that aspect of that's really cool, but also, is it weird? And would it be better to just recast the person, give somebody another shot at it, or like get rid of that aspect, right? Like,
yeah,
it's a hard choice. I think
the examples have been laid out for us pretty well, actually, by going back to the Star Wars topic, just because they have tried both. They've done the whole let's just keep the voice alive, but also let's keep the face alive, with the whole de-aging and replacement of Luke Skywalker, for example. But the problem is that people were kind of vibing with just having other actors playing young versions of characters. I don't think people would have responded to Solo as well if it was just a young Harrison Ford deepfake.
Yeah, imagine him doing the stunts of that movie. Oh my god.
Yeah.
What?
But it just because we eventually got to wrap up at some point. There's one bonus thing I wanted to talk about and present as a question, and that is, outside of Halo, what is your favorite Master Chief reference or appearance? Because Chief, and it doesn't have to be, I guess, specifically Chief, it could be just a Spartan in general, because other Spartans other than Chief have appeared in other games. But from what you know off the top of your head, gents, what are we looking at here?
Ooh.
All right, I'll go first. So it's a bit corny, but when Fortnite first announced Master Chief, they used Red versus Blue. They used Red versus Blue to announce it, and I
do remember that. I do remember that.
Most of my Halo knowledge comes from Red versus Blue, like being completely satire. A lot of my Halo just like enjoyment came from watching that show, and that made me play the game.
That's fair. What about you, Idio?
Did you know it was on Netflix for like a few years?
Oh yeah, I watched it on there.
Ooh, it's a big question. I don't know. Honestly, it is really funny that we've had a lot of crossover stuff, in particular this week, Master Chief being added just straight up into Rainbow Six Siege. That's hilarious. Honestly, it's just interesting to see Halo propagated into anything. It's still a relevant franchise, and I, as a big Halo fan, I really just enjoy seeing it kind of anywhere. I don't really have a particular favorite, like, this crossover event. I think it's just cool when it happens, because, as a fan, you see a tiny reference somewhere, you see Master Chief pop up, and so, like, here's a crossover event. I always think it's kind of...
Yeah. So I think with James and Shane, they likely would say, I'm just guessing, just tossing it out there, they probably are thinking either. I'm probably gonna guess that for Shane, his favorite is likely the Siege appearance now that he's in Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah.
James, just because of how much he loves the fact that he's in there now, Fortnite is probably gonna be his favorite. Some of our most fun entertainment moments from Fortnite were probably from us playing as Chief all together and doing random dances, making Chief do dumb things. My personal favorite, though, and it's obscure, but kind of. I mean, it wasn't at the time, but it might be now. But there's a certain game franchise by the name of Duke Nukem.
Oh.
And Duke Nukem Forever, the game that was in development hell and ended up being one of the worst games ever made. That game had a Master Chief reference. And I love it because it's done in such a funny way, and it just putting it into context makes it even more hilarious. You can play as Duke Nukem. You can walk up to this truck, and there's this soldier of some kind standing there. He's like, "Sir, we got your power armor ready for you," and it's straight up just Master Chief's armor. And Duke Nukem goes, "Power armor is for pussies." And well, we could see whose franchise lasted the longest, because Duke Nukem quickly after that just got shut down entirely.
Duke Nukem lives on in memes, okay? He lives on in voice actors doing incredible memes.
I seriously, my favorite one from that meme collection is most certainly the ones like, "If the show is called Invincible, then why can I see it?"
Yeah. Oh,
I love that one so much. But yeah, I think that's pretty much the gist of everything that we could possibly talk about with Chief, at least for now, because Chief is an ongoing conversation and it easily has so many individual stories that could be easily expanded on in the future. But that's the thing. I don't think anybody walked into this episode thinking that it was just going to be, if you did, I'm sorry, but like an hour and a half or more of just talking about Master Chief's lore and plot. What do you think this is? The first 10 episodes of this show? No, that's not going to be happening this time. It's too much. There's too much to worry about and to figure out. I would rather just actually make it just a normal conversation. You already know the gist and the way this show works, I'm hoping, at least. If you don't, welcome to the show. This is the library. You can find us on anyway. So with that all being said, for the foreseeable future, whenever we get into our next Halo title or whatever it is that comes next, what sort of story do you think would be best next for Master Chief? And I ask that because I don't think the next thing that we see from Halo, unless it's the TV show, of course, is going to be Master Chief related at all. I think it's going to be another spin-off of some sort, some other story being told. If it's following the same formula as Bungie, where they did the first 3 games, which, I mean, Halo 4, Halo 5, and Halo Infinite are both the start to a trilogy. They're not a trilogy, so it's a little bit difficult to really justify it. But they did the first 3 games, and then they did ODST, Wars, Reach. And then they made 3 more mainline games. So maybe we're going to get 3 more not mainline games. But if Chief were to come back in some shape or form that wasn't that TV show, what would you want to see next if you have an ideal? And to make this easier organized, Idio, we'll start with you.
Well, I think that Master Chief is a really cool character. I would really like to still see more of Chief. I think they've set a lot of plot. Like, there's a ton in the narrative that they could pull from to build a really interesting story, especially following Infinite. Please, for the love of God, do not drop the narrative ball again. Because, like, Halo 4 to 5, the story's gonna fundamentally change. We're gonna tell a new story. 5 to Infinite, the story's fundamentally changed. We're gonna tell a different story. And it's like, just follow through, follow through, tell the story. I want to see his interaction with the created. What are they? I don't know. I have literally no idea at this point. Where they're at, what they're doing, what's Cortana up to, what are the Endless. I want to know. I want to be in Chief's shoes as that mystery is uncovered. And if that's the final piece of Chief's saga, I think that'll be excellent. And otherwise, I want to see spin-offs. I think Halo has this depth of universe that is unfortunately very underutilized in the game space, where we had a period of, like you said, spin-offs. I was like, whoa, ODST, Halo Wars, you know, Reach. We had this era of spin-offs, and it was great because we got to see the universe from another character's perspective. And if, for whatever reason, maybe Chiefs running out of steam, let's put him on the freezer for a while. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if they keep him, the next time we see him, I really want to see a continuation of the story where he's at now. Like, make this dude interact with Atriox. Make him uncover
Yeah.
the mystery. So that's my answer.
Ash, how about you?
So I would personally like to see a game where you either play as the Covenant and Master Chief's the final boss, or
Oh my
play
god.
as like you just play as like a random Spartan, like not like random Spartan, but kind of like in Reach where you were just, you were part of Bravo 6 and it was just like Noble Team and it was just like some Spartan that's not just like top dog, just someone that's just dealing with war. It's just like in the war themselves and they know about Master Chief and you eventually want to find him and you want to help him with his but if you don't get to him you're going to die and it's just like so your whole mission base is just survive. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's it, I just play against the Spartans or reach the Spartans. Like I don't want a game where you are Master Chief. You've done that. Rinse repeat. It's fun, but it's just like I'd like to see other perspectives of like give us a game where it's the Halo 1 story, but you're not the Chief. You're just a different Spartan. Like give us that story.
I've actually heard a lot of different perspectives on that. Most recently, I saw a conversation where someone said that they would want the next game to be they play as a Marine, and while you're playing, at one point, Chief just bashes in through a wall or something like that, and he just starts taking out everybody in front of you, clearly displaying the differences between Spartan and Marine. And there's actually quite a few mods you can find where you can play as a Marine in Combat Evolved. Or a Covenant soldier in Combat Evolved. And probably one of the most fascinating things about that is that there was a mod that I played for Combat Evolved where you play as a grunt. But it isn't just like a player model swap. They made a whole campaign, like a whole custom campaign set up for it. And I'm playing through it. And at one point I get to the cryo area, not like inside, but that overseeing area, the lab deck above it. And you can look down and you can see Chief fighting elites and kicking their ass. And you're looking at that and you're like, I'm dead, aren't I?
Oh my god.
Because you don't have anything that keeps you alive like Chief does. So like you're just kind of watching him wipe the floor with these high-ranking elites. And seeing that and not playing as him feels a whole lot different. And so I kind of would enjoy, to be clear, any form of seeing him again. But that does seem like a very unique sort of way to go about it. I think the way that I would go about it, if specifically talking on the topic of what if Steve Downs and Master Chief were to go away and Halo has to move on without him, at the very least, I would want Master Chief to stick around as sort of like if Firefight stays around, he's a Firefight voice for every game.
Oh yeah.
Something like that, just something that keeps him at least there, because he will always have some form of stake in Xbox's success and Halo's success, and his story is always going to be one of the more interesting ones from the franchise. You can't have 20 years of Halo and forget the Master Chief. So I would want to make sure that he at least gets some form of recognition as we move forward. Mm-hmm. But it is going to feel weird 20 years later down the line from now, where, I'm going to be fucking 44 years old and I'll be like, yeah, I remember when Master Chief was the focus. Now we got a, physical version of Cortana still around somehow.
Now playing as Kevin 112.
Yeah, exactly. His twin brother, Mr. Jim, Spartan 117.5.
No, a portal between two different fractured universes is open. And Jimmy
I'm kind of wondering
I'm
really curious to know if Halo will actually go in the direction of multiverse. I don't want them to ever. I think that'll open up way too many problems.
It seems like they're kind of doing it with the fractures, but
yeah,
they've also been tying the fractures into the main story, like the main universe, whatever, the prime universe. So I don't know. I don't really know where they're going with that stuff. Same with
I just
Silver
don't
Team.
want them to.
I'm not sure where they're going.
Because my problem right now, a reason why I stopped watching Marvel is because of the multiverse. Because nothing really matters anymore now.
Yeah.
A character could die. Okay, they exist somewhere else though. They're probably going to come back at some point. It's like there's nothing that's interesting about it. It's really cool when it's just, let's say, like in a comic series or a TV show. You know, you get these stories of these individual characters from this other realm. They don't know about the other multiverses. They're just, or the rest of the multiverse. They're living their own story. Okay, that's pretty neat. It's when you introduce the fact that the multiverse is just a living part of the narrative, and these characters are aware of it and they can interact with it at any time. No, now you've completely lost me, because now there's no such thing as stakes. If I need something, I could just go to the neighboring dimension and pick it up and come back like it's Amazon.
Yeah. No, it always feels like a cop-out when you have this multiverse aspect. Like, there's a ton of potential in it, but it's, just focus on one timeline.
Yeah, I would want Master Chief, if anything, to... I will live and die by this one. I want Chief to go out on screen. Yeah. I want to be there when he dies. I will not be able to handle it if they're just like, Chief retires, or he gets locked away in the domain forever. We never see him again. No, he's been through way too much as a character. He's seen way too many of his brothers and sisters die. He's been through so much. And if anything, this man deserves a death even more poetic than Escherum's.
It's like, we have examples too of how not to send off a main character. Like, sorry to bring up Star Trek again, or even Star Wars. To some extent, several characters were sent off in a very interesting way. But let's not kill Master Chief with a bridge. But I want to see him some blaze of glory, heroic sacrifice, something that really culminates the arc of his character.
Yeah.
Dude, I really enjoyed seeing him in Infinite being this sort of caring, like, he's this symbol of stoicism. But when it comes down to it, he's still just a person in armor, and when he's interacting with a Sparza, dude, Brohammer, mind you, that's such a good moment. I want to see Chief. I want to see the culmination of that character. Like, and I think it's really important for the franchise too, especially if for one day Halo will be retired as a franchise. I think it'll be a really important moment to send out Chief.
Yeah, because
do it on screen. Don't do it all, please, for the love of God.
I want something that, because it would have to be, I would want some amazing writers to come on just for that one scene, just because I want a death that hits me harder than, and I'll give the two deaths that have rocked me the hardest, and that's Noble Six and Dom from Gears of War.
Oh yeah.
If I can get a death that just utterly shatters me. Actually, to some extent, I'll even bring this one in. Have either of you guys ever actually played Cyberpunk 2077 to the end?
I have not beaten it yet, and I
okay.
So I'll hold my ears.
Well, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to say the final death, that if you make the choices that I made, the final death had me questioning my own decision making for days.
That's the type of story, the one that never leaves you. I mean,
exactly.
Even dude, imagine if Halo 5 story wasn't what it was and Cortana was just dead, gone. The weight of Cortana's death in Halo 4, phenomenal. I remember that and having to sit there and be like, wow, goddamn.
It hurt, and I actually do remember, and I still am a little bit, but not as much as I was. I remember being pissed when Cortana came back.
Yeah,
because I was like, I got over you. Why are you here?
It's still painful seeing her back, because it's like, oh man, like, it's painful. Yeah. A good example too of, dude, I want Chief to go out in a Morden Salas style way. Mass Effect, give my boy a Morden Salas out. Heroic sacrifice.
Just something like that. Just because he deserves it. Steve Downes deserves it. Steve Downes deserves his character to go out in one of the biggest blazes of glory that we've ever seen. Stakes all the way up at the top. him doing what he does best, defending humanity against some sort of impossible foe. And it could actually be like, if we're talking about someone else taking his mantle, like let's say like Jerome is there for the scene and he's the one that sees the Master Chief die. He's immediately disillusioned about the whole Legend of the Master Chief thing, watching him die. And I'm just picturing it in my head, just thinking about how cool it is. Whoever it is, whatever it is that kills the Master Chief, and Jerome goes on a whole Spartan frenzy.
Oh my god.
Just pissed off because he effectively lost the Spartan. Like whoever is there, whoever in the UNSC is there to witness it, they all immediately get a massive, like it's a martyrdom morale boost.
Look, all I know is they set up this story with whatever the the Endless are. Whatever they are. It doesn't even matter what they are right now. It's what they become. Dude, if they can set up a serious antagonistic force, a really serious enemy, we've got all the blue team available. We've got that entire cast of characters from the Infinity. We've got the entire cast of the Spirit of Fire. Maybe they want to keep that separate, but I would love to see Jerome just like interact with Chief. Dude, could you imagine?
Listen,
like have all of that.
What I would love,
oh my God.
what I would love is just seeing these Spartans actually interact with each other. I love watching Blue Team talk. I love watching Fire Team Majestic talk. I like watching Spartan Palmer talk to the other Spartans and give them morale boosts. Dude, I freaking love her speech at the beginning of Spartan Ops. It got me hype every time I went to start it up again.
It is pretty hype.
I don't know, that final, if those freaks want to meet God, it's our duty to help them along, and then body slam a cruiser.
It is great.
I freaking love it. And so we're going to go way too long on this. Chief deserves respect. Chief is one of the greatest characters, if not the greatest character in video game history. In fact, if someone doesn't remember this, I will remind everyone. At one point, I think it was IGN or some other massive gaming journalism company, they did a survey, like this sort of voting contest that went on for like a month of who the best video game character of all time is. And the final choice out of a whole lot of OG characters, the final choice was between Mario and Chief. And I will never forget that. I will never forget that. Mario won by a landslide, but Master Chief was the runner-up, right behind freaking Mario.
Mario's got decades on Chief, and Chief is still. You can see, that's the beautiful thing too with the show, is like you can show somebody who knows nothing about Halo. You show them the Chief, they'll know who he is, right? It's like, it's so cool. It's send them off.
So. For real, dear viewer, I hope that you agree. I hope that we get to see you next week when we talk about whatever it is we talk about. It's going unplanned from here. But if you agree, if you disagree, I don't care. We have a Q&A section. It's literally made for you. You should go down there right now if you're on Spotify, and you should get in there. If you're not in the Q&A, if you're listening on, like, I don't know, Apple Podcasts or something like that, I don't pay attention to that side of things. You should over to the Discord, discord.gg/JumperScape. You should talk to us there. We're all here. We're just sitting here waiting for you specifically, Jerry, to show up. So we just need you to be there for us, especially right now, because we're talking about Steve Downs and Master Chief eventually kicking the bucket, and we're not exactly interested in that. So if you enjoyed today's episode, though, you can feel free to head over to the Discord, like I just said. You can feel free to support us over on patreon.com/JumperScape. And we will see you next week with whatever it is that we talk about. But before we head out, Ash, thank you once again for being here. Thank you once again for supporting our show. It's fantastic to have you on, to get to talk to you and to have your support to keep this show alive. I very much hope that this has been a fun time for you and that you're feeling like your support is going towards something that's worth it.
It's been a great time, though. I will say that much.
Okay, I'm very happy about that. And Idio, I can now say, as usual, great to have you on the show. Your conversation is very welcome. I'm very happy to have you around. James and Shane, they had to go off and do other things. That's why they kind of vanished. But, you know, not that you ever noticed, anyone else that's listening to the show. you probably didn't even realize it because the conversation was just so gosh darn nice. But it's cool. They'll be back next week. And next week we'll have an actual studio that we'll be working out of that we are now able to support thanks to everyone who has been providing for us on Patreon. It's been fantastic. I love getting the opportunities that we are now having because of this show's success and other successes that we've seen. So thank you to everyone's support. Thank you for helping us get this far. And I guess we'll see you next week with whatever it is that we do. Thank you so much for listening.
The library was produced and published by JumperScape Audio. Funding was provided by our fantastic patrons on Patreon. If you enjoy the show and wish to support JumperScape's future projects or get some sweet benefits, join our Patreon at patreon.com/JumperScape or become part of this truly special community at discord.gg/JumperScape. Thank you for your listenership, and we hope you enjoyed.